Cowan told his Green Coalition partners that he planned to appoint 6 new cabinet ministers from the ranks of Fianna Fáil for the remaining few weeks of the government's life.
We were, in our view, anyway, very, very clear. We said this really isn't a good idea.
The public perception of it, what's a new minister going to be able to do in a period of time? The office that we're talking about, it was just wrong for a whole range of obvious reasons.
At the meeting on Wednesday morning, had they clearly indicated they would vote against it or not vote at all, or had they told us at any time in between, this situation would have been averted?
Parties at a different level, a cabinet, what the word opposed means. Does opposed mean I'm going to fight tooth and nail against it, or does opposed mean I'm just registering my protest? People who aren't in the cabinet aren't privy to understanding the exact meaning of that word.
Well, short of saying, you better not effing do this, we couldn't have made it clearer.
But the Greens' objections were ignored and the resignations began to arrive in waves.
Mr. Ahern said that since being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, he's been advised to take
has fallen. Defence Minister Tony Killeen announced
this afternoon came news that Bat O'Keefe had also tendered his
We
resignation.
were taken aback when the announcements were being made. Then I heard that Mary Harney was to step down. That really took me aback. And I remember then texting the Taoiseach saying, this isn't good, this isn't good.
I remember going in that morning and going over to his office. One colleague said to me that he never saw me move so fast along the corridors when I heard this was going to happen, just to walk in and to say, you can't do this. And he said to me, no, I can. The Constitution says I can. But we were talking on 2 different levels. He was talking about what he could do constitutionally. I was coming at it from the point of view that this is a government that's over. This is a team of people who are about to face into an election and cannot start reshuffling, giving people jobs where it would be seen that we were just trying to look after our friends.
That led on to one of the most bizarre days I've ever had in my life. It was like the Keystone Cops approach to politics. Mary Coughlin, the Taoiseach, had to go into the Dáil and bat on behalf of the government. It was pretty clear without actually knowing what was going to happen.
Taoiseach, of course, will come to the House.
Brian Cowan's authority as Taoiseach was damaged beyond repair.
I'm sorry, all these points have been made for the last hour.
His ministers had now resigned, but the appointment of replacements was blocked by the Greens.
We could not have been clearer. We said it in the most unequivocal fashion.
We were in crisis mode, and when you're in a crisis, thinking straight isn't always possible and rarely happens.
I'm surprised, really, that there weren't people around him, some of his closer friends in cabinet, who could say, look, this is not on. You cannot just change your front bench like that. Looking people from the back benches, I believe.
Respective leaders of parties have the obligation to and the right to appoint their nominees to ministerial posts.
I know people who were telephoned and said you'll be a junior minister and you'll be a senior minister. Mad.
If the Greens are not represented in this chamber on this date speaks for itself. And the fact that the government are unable to fill the front benches speaks for the level to which this has actually descended.
The Taoiseach attempted a stroke and it backfired.
The fact that the Taoiseach of the day wasn't in a position to appoint cabinet ministers, he was well aware that that wasn't a situation that was tenable by any means. That's one of the key functions of a Taoiseach, is to be able to appoint a cabinet, and when that's gone, yeah, there were issues and there were problems.
I am reassigning those assignments to my existing colleagues in government.
In retrospect, it was very ham-fistedly dealt with, and well, yeah, you're right, I did end up with 3 departments, all right.
And all the Fianna Fáil backbenchers who had loyally voted support in Brian Cowan a couple of days before were milling around the Dáil corridors saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to get rid of him?
It's hard to imagine a more disastrous day for any head of government, being humiliated by the Greens.
I think that effort at reshuffling the cabinet was the biggest failure of judgment of Brian Cowan. How he thought for 1 minute that it was acceptable.
I think that was a dreadful mistake. It was a dreadful mistake, and I think perhaps Brian Cowan himself in retrospect would agree that that was the final straw, literally. I mean, that was what ultimately brought him down.
Well, it's pretty good gaga. It was a nonsense.
was never going to work, wasn't needed. I was too late. I had a story.